And here we are. We are live.
Yes.
It's just you and me at the moment. So let me see if it's streaming on my page. I don't know how.
This is recorded, right?
It automatically records. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, how do I share it? Oh, that's right, because it's the oh no, the privacy is set to edit privacy, public. There we go. Now, share. Me and technology, I'm just useless. Oh, I can't share it. Why can't I share it? Help! Oh, we've got some people here with us. Hi, everyone. It's Vanessa here. Thank you for joining us. It's me and Ahmed are here. Oh, I can share now. Sorry, just got a bit of technology stuff going on. Just bear with me while I fix this. I want to share it to the group. And there we go. Shared. Oh, I did it.
You have. We have one like from Ivan. Yeah.
Hello, Eamon. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Okay. So, how are you, Ahmed?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm very well. Are you keeping warm?
Yeah, I'm drinking my tea and these cold nights. I think you got used to this weather because you're originally from England.
Well, originally from Australia, but lived in London for a very long time. So, yes, I am used to the cold weather.
Yeah. So, compared to England, what do you think about the weather in Egypt?
Hot. It's hot. The winters aren't as cold, but it feels cold here in the homes because we don't have central heating. Where in the UK, all the homes have central heating, so you can get warm. Where here, no, you only can get warm if you have a little heater or with your clothes. So the homes here feel a lot colder. And the temperatures aren't as low.
So what was the lowest temperature you have experienced it in England or in Australia?
Not in Australia because where I lived was on the beach. So, I mean, I didn't literally live on the beach, but we lived by the beach. And so it was sort of subtropical weather, which was like here, like similar to here. So it gets cold in the winter, but during the summer it's hot. In the UK, I don't know. I'm going to say maybe -5, -7, somewhere between 5 and 10 degrees below zero, I would say. Yeah.
So between Australia and England, which weather do you prefer the most?
England.
Okay.
I like cold weather.
Okay. So you're not into tropical weather.
I'm not. No, and because it's humid, I don't like humidity. So I much prefer the UK weather because they have a little bit of humidity sometimes in summer, but that doesn't last very long. It's only a few days.
And you're missing the snow here in Egypt?
Yes, I really miss the snow. I love the snow. Have you seen snow before?
No. So I'm not missing. I don't miss the snow because I didn't have this experience before, but I really want to try to make a snowman like people in Europe. I think it's a beautiful experience, right?
It's a lot of fun. The snow is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really good fun. I always feel like a kid when I'm in the snow. Yeah, I just love it. Absolutely love it.
So
I don't know whether I would like to live in it. You know, like in America, they're having a really big winter storms at the moment, and
yeah,
the snow is, you know, covering the cars and everything. I don't know whether I would like that much snow, but
yeah.
it's fun anyway. It's
So
good.
you made before snowman?
Yes, I
Yes.
have. And I've tried skiing down a mountain, and I was terrible at that.
Uh-huh.
And I've made snowballs and thrown them at my friends before. That's fun.
So you had a snow fight.
I've had a snow fight. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Well, I
this,
hope you get to go to the snow one day.
so I think you should travel to Alexandria.
Doesn't snow in Alexandria.
Sometimes it snows.
Yeah, but not real snow. It doesn't stay on the ground snow, does it?
Yeah, but in the last winter we had a heavy snow in Alexandria.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
they had a heavy snow.
I mean, it has snowed here in Cairo before. I remember several years ago, and there was snow out in New Cairo, like out in Rehab and areas out that way.
6th of
So
October. Yeah,
I'm waiting for it to snow in Nasser City.
yeah. So you'll have to
I
wait
don't think it will.
for a few years. You'll have to wait for a few
I think
years.
so. I think so. Yeah. Well, it's always fun to talk about the weather. It's a very British thing to talk about the weather, but
Yeah.
we are here today to talk about IELTS questions. So I suppose we should actually start talking about IELTS questions, should we?
Yeah, I totally
Um,
agree with you.
I thought that we would go through a couple of discuss both views questions today, and just so that we can share our thoughts and see how our brains process the ideas and
Yeah.
different ways that we can actually think about the ideas, generate those ideas.
Yes.
So let's have a look at the first question here.
Okay.
1 second. Technology. Oh, here we go. All right. So the first question, some people believe that time spent on television and computer games can be valuable for children. Others believe this has negative effects on a child. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So when we're looking at these types of questions, of course, we're going to take one view and think of ideas, and then look at the next view and think of ideas. Sometimes it's a good idea to think about your ideas before you even think about your opinion. So the way that I would address this is that I would be thinking, okay, why is it valuable? I'm going to turn the statement into a question and say, why? Why is it valuable? Why is it good? What are the benefits of children spending time watching television or playing computer games?
Okay. In my opinion, I think that playing computer games could improve their cognitive skills because they have to use or have matching between their brains and their hand movement, like what they do in PUBG and in football games. Okay.
What's PUBG? PUBG?
Yeah,
What is that?
PUBG. Yeah, PUBG is it's like a fighting game,
Ah,
but with weapons. Yeah.
oh,
And
okay.
so you're a member of a team and you have to cooperate with your own team to win the game. And this is one of the advantages also of these games, which is learning how to work and be a team player uh,
Mm.
with your
Okay.
mate and cooperate together to achieve your goal.
Hmm.
So I think this is the benefits of computer games.
Okay. Now, if you have an understanding of the IELTS writing and um, and what you're supposed to do. Would that be okay if you only mentioned computer games? If you didn't talk about television, would that be okay?
No, of course, you have to mention both of them. But
Mhm.
actually, because I'm not into television, so I don't know any benefit for TV.
No benefit for TV. There's lots of benefits for TV.
So you can mention some of them.
Well, I think for children, watching television is educational. If you play like I don't know what the kids' programs are these days, but we used to have Play School and Sesame Street, and then there was Teletubbies. And so if you play them, if they're watching educational programs, then they're learning from a very young age.
Mhm.
They can learn how to speak, they can learn how to dance, they can learn how to do all sorts of different things, to count through television. So for young children, I think it's very beneficial. And also, I think for depending on the types of programs that they're watching, things like Harry Potter can build their imagination and their creativity.
Yes. But how do you think that Harry Potter would improve their imagination or build their imagination?
Because they're seeing things that don't exist. It's showing them the way that you can think differently. You can create things in a different way.
Yes. So you mean that they get freed from limitations from their mind limitations, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many boys have you seen flying around on a broomstick?
No one actually.
No, no one. So,
Yeah.
so it's giving them this imagination of wow, isn't that amazing to see kids flying around on a blue broomstick playing some sort of game? Um, I think imagination would be one angle, but I think for me, I would stick to the education aspect because that can be the same for young children and for teenagers if they're watching documentaries. So I'd just stick to education, I think.
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
that.
You have a point. Yes, you have a point.
So those are some ideas for both television and computer games in terms of it being valuable. So what about in terms of the negative sides of children spending time watching television and playing computer games?
Yeah. I have tons of negative effects.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start by computer games, and then we will speak also about television because, as you mentioned, we have to speak about both of them.
Hmm.
This is in terms of rubrics of IELTS writing. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's start by computer games. Computer games could make children suffer from isolation and loneliness because they spend a lot of time on virtual websites. I'm sorry, on virtual games and playing without getting out and hanging out with their friends and making real relationships. And this is happening right now in Egypt.
Yeah.
Many children make virtual relationships on games like PUBG because they have a chat inside these games and they think that these people on these games are their friends. But actually, in the real world, when they need someone to hang out with or they need help from someone, these players or the other players in these games they wouldn't be there for them. So
Mm.
as a result, they would suffer from loneliness and solitude. Uh, Other bad, yeah,
Well, can I just say I don't know about the loneliness because they may not be lonely if they're communicating. I mean, I don't know about this PUBG game or things like that. But can they talk to each other? Like, can they actually talk?
Yeah. Okay, they can actually talk. Yeah.
So it might not be that they are lonely because they are interacting. They're having that interaction that's just not face to face.
Yeah, but
So
I don't mean this in this aspect. I mean that loneliness here by the meaning of not having a support in situations, in different situations. This is the loneliness that I'm speaking about. You know,
mm,
when you feel alone in a hard situation, when you need help and you can't find someone, this is loneliness. You can't define this as a loneliness.
yeah, I think with ideas like this, we have to be careful that we don't go off in another direction
Okay.
because if we think about, we're talking about children spending time playing computer games. What is the negative effect of that? In terms of loneliness, don't forget that they've got their family. So just because they're playing computer games doesn't mean to say that they would be isolated from their family or their friends.
Actually, a lot of children prefer staying at home and playing these games,
Mhm.
and they don't get out with their families, and they always stay in their rooms
Yeah,
without having lunch with them. They eat while playing. So, they,
exactly. So it's not about loneliness. That is more being antisocial,
yes,
that
okay,
they become antisocial and that
yeah,
they don't want to socialize with other people, which could possibly then lead to a bit of loneliness. But the main point there would be they're being antisocial. Yeah.
yeah, and also spending time in front of TV. Uh, some kids, or let's say many kids, spend a lot of time watching cartoons, and they don't do any physical activity for long hours.
Hmm.
So this could have a bad effect, or this for sure will have a bad effect on their health. Firstly, they could suffer from obesity because
Hmm.
they're not doing any physical activities and they keep eating in front of TV.
Yeah. Like me. Yeah.
Like all
Like
of us,
I do.
we,
Yeah.
we, we eat tons of snacks in front of TV.
Yeah.
Uh, also, they may stay in a or sit. I'm sorry, they may sit in a wrong position, which could affect their posture, or
Yeah.
or have bad effect on their backbone.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
these also will make them suffer from health issues, and also as a result, for these health issues like the obesity, when they suffer from obesity, they could be exposed to bullying, which will have also a bad effect on their psychological health.
Yeah. It's a valid point. It is a valid point. I think both of those are valid. I would probably, my ideas would probably be a little bit different, similar, but I would say that for television, that they can be exposed to um, shows that may not be good for them, that can give them, the wrong idea, maybe cause them to see this bad behavior, but because they're regularly seeing it on TV, they
Yeah,
may think that it's appropriate behavior. So then they would go ahead and do the same thing. So that could be one aspect of spending time watching TV. But the other, with the computer games, definitely, I would be saying that I would be using the sedentary lifestyle or the sedentary aspect to talk
yeah,
about the computer games because they do just sit there and play for hours and hours and hours.
yeah.
Um, I do the same on my phone, you know.
Yeah,
I'm no longer a child, but I still play games on my phone, and I can sit there, and the next thing I've lost an hour and I haven't moved. So, definitely the sedentary aspect, and then leading on to health problems, I think that applies for both television and computer games.
yeah, and we must mention that computer games also, a lot of computer games increase their tendency to violence.
If those games are violent, if
Y-
because there are a lot of computer games that aren't violent.
Okay, so
So,
speaking about PUBG, for example, because PUBG is the game number one all over the world right now.
mhm,
So
okay,
millions of kids are playing PUBG, and PUBG is a game for full of killing others and using weapons, and they got full information actually about each weapon. You can now hear a kid, a 5 years kid or a 7 years kid, telling you the real specifications of a real weapon. You
that's
know,
scary.
yeah, yeah,
That
and
is
this
scary.
is happening.
Mm.
Yeah, and they actually are organizing championships in PUBG all over the world right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
So yeah, it is. Definitely it can, but you would have to specify. You would probably use that as an example,
yeah,
to be specific in the example about the um, bad information or behavior. Because, like I said, not all TV programs and not all computer games have violence. So you would have to be very specific. If you just mentioned the violence aspect, it's not going to be an accurate idea because, like I just said, a lot of TV programs and computer games don't include violence.
and this is the importance of the example, and this is the
That's
importance of the examples.
exactly. You have to have like your umbrella idea, your
Yeah,
main idea. So the main idea for in relation to, let's say, computer games would be, or television would be a sedentary lifestyle. So it's bad for the health. And then computer games, you could say that it has detrimental effects both psychologically and physically.
yeah, and
And then when you're developing those ideas, that's when you start to get into detail about what those psychological issues or physical issues would be.
yes, actually, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what would your opinion be with this question? Do you think they're valuable or negative?
Negative, of course. Negative, of course.
See, I don't. I think I would be, my position would be that it's valuable because you can control the hours that kids, well, you can try to control, parents can try to control the hours that are spent on TV and playing games and the content, what they're playing and what they're watching.
Hmm.
So that's why I think I would actually agree that it is more valuable because I think the negative effects are going to be there at the extreme level. So if a child isn't given a time limit for playing games or watching television, that's when the negative things happen. So
Yes.
that's just what's in my mind. So that's why I would go with the view that it's more valuable.
And this is one of the good things about IELTS, writing in IELTS, that everyone could have his own point of view, and by supporting these points of view with the appropriate example and
Mm-hmm.
the appropriate explanation, you can have your score and you can convince the examiner with your
Mm-hmm.
point of view. You might,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
As long as you explain why you think something is, that's
yeah,
what they're looking for. They're looking to see how you have decided that I agree with this or this is my point of view. How did you get to that point of view? What makes you think that? That's what
yeah,
they're looking for. So, in terms of the development, you have to explain why you think that. Like I just did then. I just explained why I think it's more valuable than negative, because I think that it can be controlled. So therefore, in my opinion, it's more valuable.
Yes. And I agree with you that you have a point regarding TV when you explain your point of view. And this is the same with the examiner. When they
Mm.
check your writing, he could have another point of view, but you can
Yeah,
convince him with your opinion
yeah.
if you do the appropriate explanation and give the appropriate example.
And it has to be valid as well. You know, we spoke about the violent side. So if you were to include the violent aspect and talk about it factually, like all computer games and television programs, you know, like if you just said that it causes violent behavior, that is totally inaccurate,
Yeah,
because it may happen in some cases, but the way that you have written it, saying that it leads to violent behavior, it doesn't happen for all situations and all children.
yeah, and what you said now highlights a very important thing in IELTS writing. You shouldn't use words like all people or
Hmm.
in all cases. You shouldn't generalize or use any word that refers to generalization. This will
Yeah,
be totally inaccurate, as you said.
yeah,
You should stick to some or many or a lot of. This could be
mhm,
accurate, but all of or the whole word, for example, no, this is inaccurate
yeah,
totally, and you
that's
should
right.
avoid using these words.
And this is why the modal verbs are important in situations like that, because you know you could say it in certain situations it can lead to violence,
Yeah,
um, and that is true. That's not saying that all children will be violent. It's just saying that in some circumstances there will be some children who will have violent behaviour after
yeah,
playing violent computer games. Yeah, it's true.
yeah, I agree with
So
that.
it's, yes, that is another important point. If you are going to use extreme examples like that, it's important that you don't make it factual for everybody. So
Yeah,
you have to use the modal verbs in order to show that it can happen, or it might happen, or it's likely to happen, or it happens to some people or in some situations.
yeah.
Good. So you're going to think that it's negative. Um, so how would you structure your paragraph? Which paragraph would you talk about first? Or sorry, which view would you talk about first?
Okay, I will speak first about the point of view that I don't agree with,
Yep.
like the positive aspect of
Hmm.
TV and computer games. And then in the second paragraph, I will speak about my point of view that I support.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Um, and like we said at the beginning, it's important that both television and computer games are spoken about, because if you only spoke about TV or computer games, then you're not addressing all parts of the question. So you do have to make sure that both of those are addressed.
yeah, and also they should focus on speaking about the aspects on the children or the
Yes,
general. Yeah,
yes,
because
definitely.
many students fall on this. They speak in general, like they say people suffer from blah blah blah. No,
Yeah,
he's asking you here about the children.
the children,
Yeah,
exactly. And also the other key words here I would say is time spent on, which means that they are going to be, it's not just going to be a quick 5-minute game. They're going to be spending time.
yeah,
So it generally indicates a longer period of time.
yeah. This is
So
right.
yeah, good. Well, I think we've mastered that question.
Yeah,
Shall we move on to the next one?
yeah. Let's move to the next
Yeah,
one.
let's move to the next one. By the way, if anybody has any questions, just type it in the chat. You can send us a message and send us your ideas as well. Hi, Lamia. Thanks for joining. Yeah, if you've got any questions or you want to share your ideas, by all means, type it in the comments. We'd be very happy to see what your ideas are. All right. The next question. Some people think that it is a good idea to socialize with work colleagues during evenings and weekends. Other people think it is important to keep working life completely separate from social life. Again, discuss both views and give your own opinion. I have very strong opinions about this question.
Okay, so let's start with your point of view here.
Well, I totally agree with the first view. I believe that it is a very good idea to socialize with work colleagues in the evenings and the weekends. The reason why I support that view is because that's what I used to do. When I was living in London, the company that I was with, it was a very large company, and we always did things in the evenings, not so much on the weekends, but occasionally there would be times where we would go away to a hotel for like a big meeting, and we would end up staying overnight on the Friday night. So we would be there on the Saturday as well. So that did happen. I think it's a great way to make I don't want to say the organization, but let's say the team or the people that you're working with much, much stronger. You are more likely to help each other if you have that out of office relationship.
Okay.
And I'm just talking from my own experience. You know, because I got to know people outside of the office, I could actually relate to them a lot better in the office. So when we had to interact with each other, and maybe they needed me to do something or I needed them to do something, we knew how to talk to each other. We could also have a laugh with each other because we'd seen each other outside of the office. A lot of times people in the office are very stiff and very formal.
Yeah.
And they don't show their true self. But when you go out socializing with them, you do get to see that more personal side. And I think once you get to know somebody on that personal level, the relationship becomes a lot stronger. So I certainly found for myself that it was a real bonding experience, and it reflected in our work. We produced more, we were a lot more productive. The work environment was a lot more friendlier because we all used to go out together.
So do you think that these varies according to the culture or the country where you live?
I think it would. Of course, it would vary based on the company because not all companies have that type of.
Not the company, the country.
The country. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's country based. I think it would be more cultural based, really. Like the culture of the organization that you're working for.
So let's.
I mean, I don't know here in Egypt. I mean, the company that I worked for in the UK does have an office here in Egypt.
So let's say in Japan, people are suffering from isolation and loneliness because they don't have a friendly relationship inside their work. They have only a professional relationship, and they don't have this much of relations in their social life because of the pace of the life. So when we speak here about the culture or the country, you could say that your point of view is valid in the UK, but and it's also should be valid in Japan, but due to their culture, because they are focusing mainly on their work and their productivity, no, they are suffering there. And I heard once before that there's a man that you pay for him in Japan to give you a hug on the street because they are suffering. Yeah, they are suffering a lot from loneliness. Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't think in terms of this question, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Because I'm just saying, regardless, regardless of where I would be in the world, I would still think it's a good idea to socialize with my colleagues.
Yeah. So here I'm speaking about the concept itself, far away
Yeah.
from the culture or the country.
Yeah, it's the concept of it. I'm just saying from my own experience, I've had the experience, I've had it, I've done it. So this is why I do support it, because I know the benefit that this idea has. You know, have I worked in a company? I have worked actually in a company where you keep the work life separate from social life. And I didn't connect with the people. I felt every time I walked into the office, I felt very detached. I didn't feel part of the group.
Yeah.
So that's just based on my own experience. And that wouldn't matter whether that happened in the UK, in Australia, in Japan, in China, wherever. That would still be my experience.
So I want
How
to,
I felt about the experience.
yeah. So I want to mention here that what I said before a few minutes about the culture effect on your point of view here in this question. This is the example of how to uh, go with your thoughts far away from the question. So
No, it's not. It's not. Forget about the culture. Remove the culture, the country culture. It's not valid. It doesn't
yeah,
need to be brought into the question.
yeah. So this is what I was saying. They should avoid doing like what I said.
Yes.
I was giving them an example for the students who get the thoughts far away from what is required here in the question.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Lamia has said, I've mingled with colleagues everywhere I worked. Yeah. So I think, Lamia, you're probably with the first view, I'm guessing.
So Lamia could share her reasons with us.
Yeah, Lamia, just pop them in the comments. Why would you support that first view, that it's a good idea to socialize with work colleagues during evenings and weekends? Why? While Lamia's typing that, Ahmed, why do you think people would think it's a good idea?
Actually, I agree with you when you said that this is important to have a healthy environment, work environment, because this will increase your productivity and you will work as a team. You will have a better chance to work as a team, and you can tackle your problems and easily more when you act as a team, and also you will avoid any misunderstanding because, for example, if I say that you and I are working in the same place, when you're angry because of something in the work, I will not have this in a personal way because I know that Vanessa and we are friends, and I know
Yeah.
that this is just a tension because of the work pressure, but far away from work. No, I know Vanessa is my friend, and she didn't mean to shout at me or angry or to be angry.
Have I ever shouted at you?
I know. Yeah, so I will give you an excuse, and this will help us to avoid any misunderstanding in our work.
Yeah.
So this is very important, and also we could support each other when someone has a problem, or a personal problem, and he can't perform well in his work. His colleagues may help him in his work and work instead of him. If he wanted to take a vacation or one day off, they could take his work and finish his work. So this is
And
very
that's
important.
all because they got to know each other when they
Yeah.
were socializing outside of the office.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because he has a credit. Uh, their relationships has a credit in their treatment inside work. You know?
Has a credit.
Yeah,
What do you mean by a credit?
credit like when you do something because you appreciate me, or we are friends, so this means that you have a credit for someone.
Oh, no, we don't generally say we have a credit with someone.
For someone, you have a credit for someone.
No.
Okay.
Someone can be in your debt, but that's a little bit different. We don't generally use that with friends, that unless you've done them a favor. So someone is in my debt means you owe me something.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you owe them one, or they owe you one, is another way that we would say it. He owes me one, meaning he owes me a favor.
Yeah. But I didn't use the correct words. Well, okay,
That's okay.
I
That's all
messed
right.
up.
Doesn't matter. That's okay. No problem. Look, I mess up my words all the time. So, yes, those are the reasons. Is there? Do you have any other reason, or is that it for the good idea side?
For me, this is the good idea side. Yeah, I don't have more reasons for this.
And also, just another point, we are going to talk about weekends and evenings, aren't we? We're not just going to talk about weekends or evenings, we're going to talk about both during evenings and weekends. So yes, we have to include both of those. All right, so the other side, other people think it is important to keep working life completely separate from social life. Why would some people think that? Just a reminder, join, you can type your ideas into the chat and share them. Oh, Ashraf. Sorry, Ahmed, I'm just going to interrupt you there. Let me see if I can pin this. Can I pin this? Oh, look at me. Ashraf is asking, do we talk about the advantages of both sides, and what is the appropriate background statement for this topic? Oh, okay. Do we talk about the advantages of both sides? It's not necessarily the advantage. They will be good things, but it doesn't always have to be an advantage. So instead of saying advantage, I prefer to use the word why. Why? Why is it a good idea? There are going to be benefits, definitely, and we just discussed what the benefits would be for socializing. So you can look at it as an advantage, but I would try to just change your wording about using an advantage. With the second view, other people think it is important to keep working life completely separate from social life. Again, why? Why would they think that? You're giving reasons for why. So why they think it's important to keep them separate. So yes, you would talk about the advantage of keeping it separate, but you could also talk about the disadvantage of not keeping it separate.
Yeah.
So
You going to speak about the disadvantages of socializing with work colleagues.
Yeah, exactly. So you could do that in the second view. Hi, Zahra. Thanks for joining. You could talk about that in the second view, turn that into why it would be a negative thing. So it really does depend on your ideas and how you choose to discuss it, but try to think a little bit more wider than just advantage or disadvantage. Ask yourself why. Why would they do it?
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't they do it? If you ask yourself those questions, it's going to be easier to generate ideas. An appropriate background statement, so like an introductory sentence, I would probably keep it very simple and say something like socializing, people choose to socialize both in and outside of the office or outside of the workplace. I would probably keep it very, very simple. Your broad topic sentence, excuse me, I say to students, don't spend a lot of time on it. If you can't think of one, you can still score a 7 without having that broad topic sentence, the background statement, as you're saying it, Ashra. I encourage students to write one, but I wouldn't spend minutes trying to think of it because it's a bit of a waste of time. If you need, if it takes you longer to plan your ideas and write your essay. If you're very quick at coming up with these sentences, great, do it. But my personal advice is if you can't write that broad sentence, then just move on, because I have seen essays that still score well without having it.
Zahra is saying that it could definitely depend on colleagues' personalities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Oh, if you don't like them, you don't want to socialize with them. Of course. Mohammed has added a comment here. The human being is naturally sociable in nature, so it is suitable for the employees working separately for their families, like an isolated site in a camp. It is reliable to sit with their peers after work duty to discuss other non-work related issues to overcome the lonely feeling. Okay, I have to read that again. The human being is naturally sociable in nature. It's suitable for employees working separately, working away from their families, like in an isolated camp, to sit with their peers after work to discuss non-work related issues to overcome loneliness. Absolutely. That is a very valid point, Mohammed. So if you are working away from family, and you don't maybe have friends, it's either an isolated camp, or you're on an oil rig, or working in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Like the engineers in the desert, yeah.
Yeah, like the engineers, absolutely. So they've only got those people that are with them to talk to. So yeah, they're going to socialize after work, because otherwise, who are they going to talk to?
Because
so in that situation, it's very valid. Yeah.
Their colleagues are their second family.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And actually, they spend more time with their colleagues than spending their time with their families.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be hugely important for them to socialize together, because otherwise they're going to feel really isolated and lonely. Yeah. Good point, Mohammed. You would have to be, if you're going to use that idea, like you've said, you would have to specify that they are people who are working away from friends and family, because otherwise it's not going to work. Because most people don't work away from their friends and family. I think the majority of people do work within the same area or vicinity. They can get to them. So by highlighting, like you did, in an isolated camp or away from others, it's hugely important. Yeah. Good job, Mohammed. Yep, I like it. If the work is stressful and they insist to talk about it continuously. Okay, Zahra. Zahra she's explaining that, which view are you talking about here, Zahra? Are you talking about the first one or the second one? Because you can't say it depends on the colleagues' personalities, because you have to discuss both views. It's a discuss both views question, so we need to discuss both of them.
And she have to give her own opinions, so she can't discuss only both views. She has to mention her own opinion.
Yeah, so generally we will choose one of those two views that are presented in order to show our, which one we agree on. You can actually do a third body paragraph where you have your opinion. So, for example, if you wanted to give a different view than what is given, you would have to discuss why some people think it's good to socialize. The second body paragraph would be why others think it's better to keep the life separate. And then in the third body paragraph, another idea that you have. But if you do that, you have to be careful that you don't repeat the same ideas that you have already repeated in the other two paragraphs. So quite often it's easier just to stick to these two views that are written and either agree and just agree with one of them, support one of them.
Yeah, because they could run out of time in the exam.
Run out of time and also end up repeating yourself.
Yeah. And the more you write, the more you do mistakes.
That's
Or make
right.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Zahra, your idea would be valid if you were to use that in the second view. So if you were to be saying that other people think it's important to keep working life completely separate from social life, is because when people are at work, it's stressful. Quite often, when you go out with colleagues after work, they will continue to talk about work, but you don't want to talk about work. You want to switch off from work and relax and forget about it. So it's not a good idea to keep working. No, that's on the negative. That would be showing support for the first view. But yes, sorry. I'm getting confused now. So yes, you would be saying that it's important to keep them separate because leisure time, evenings and weekends are for relaxing, are for not working, are for not having to think about work. So that would be a valid point. Maybe during work time they develop friendship relationships among them, then it is quite acceptable to socialize after work online. I'm a bit confused now, Zahra. You're taking us off in another direction. We're going down another road. I'm not sure what road we're on now. Ahmed, can you understand those points?
No, well, Zahra is in between.
Yes, Zahra's taking that middle road. And it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult.
We say that she's sitting on the fence.
Choose a side, Zahra. Just choose a side. Don't sit on that fence. It's uncomfortable.
You should adopt a point of view.
And I don't understand the point about extend the friendship among their families. I don't get how that is going to connect to the question. You know, sometimes it's really important to control our ideas, because when we overthink things, quite often we end up, like I said, taking the question in a different direction that doesn't really relate. The ideas might be valid, but they might not be actually truly connected to the question that's given. So we do have to just control our ideas and not let our thoughts and our ideas run away from us, because it's easy. It easily happens. You know, we always have to keep going back to the question: am I answering the why do people think it's important to keep working life separate, and why do some people think it's a good idea to socialize? So always ask yourself that why. I think that's the easiest way to do it. In my brain, the way my brain processes things, the easiest thing for me is just to ask myself why. In any question, doesn't matter what the question is, I'm always going to ask myself, why is it a good idea? Based on this question, why is it important? Why?
Yeah, and I think what Zahra did now gives us a good chance to mention how what is the best way to respond to this type of questions. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. You shouldn't stay in between. You should discuss both views, and you should adopt one point of view and say in a clear way that you are with this point of view or with this opinion, and make your reasons clear. You shouldn't say it depends. No, this is not correct.
Well, it's not that it's not correct exactly. It's just difficult to do. It really does take a skilled writer to be able to present a different opinion without going off topic, without repeating their ideas, and making that opinion very, very clear. So, for the majority of students taking the exam, they require 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, but mostly within the 6 to 7 bracket. That's what most students need to get in the exam. So in order to achieve that, keep it as simple as possible. Don't complicate things for yourself. Just stick to one view, either this one or that one. And as Ahmed said, don't sit on the fence. Because while it might be a good idea to try and give your own different opinion, you can end up having a lot of problems. And I just think it's not worth it. It's not worth ruining your essay and ruining your score just because you choose not to choose one of those opinions that are presented. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And these are the rubrics of IELTS writing. That you should, one of the rubrics, if you mentioned your points of view or your opinion in a clear way or not. This will have a big effect on your score.
Yeah. So keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. Simple and clear and accurate. That is the most important thing. Your ideas don't have to be the most sophisticated and fantastic ideas on the planet. No, they need to be clear. They need to be accurate in terms of what you're saying and the language that you're using, and they have to make sense. You know, if they don't make sense, don't use them. Don't use them. And the other thing I'll just like to say, sorry, Ahmed, there, is you've got to make sure that what you have written is clear for the reader, because the reader's not in your head. The reader doesn't know what you mean unless you actually write it. So when you review your essay, go back and read it and say, if I was the examiner or if I was somebody else reading this, would I follow it? Would I be able to understand it? Does it make sense? Is it clear? Is it connected? If it's not, you better change it.
Yeah. Like straight to the point. Keep it plain and simple. Yeah.
Exactly. Clear and simple. We haven't discussed the other side. We haven't discussed the other view. So very quickly, Ahmed, because we're running out of time, very quickly, just give me your ideas about why some people think it's important to keep work life and social life separate.
Maybe because this makes them feel unstressed and makes them that they had a break from their work. They want to have their own private life for far away from discussions of work, because some people can't separate between private life and work, so their colleagues could call them at 10 p.m. or 12 p.m. asking for something related to work. So if you didn't put limits for your relations and keep it professional, you will suffer from people like this.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And as Zahra just commented there, to avoid talking about work problems. Yeah. We don't want to take our work problems home. You know, we want to leave them in the office. So quite often, if we do end up socializing, like Zahra said earlier, if we end up socializing with our colleagues, quite often work will come up in the conversation. And also, if you're around your work colleagues all the time, where is the separation? Where is that my personal, my own life? Where is that? I'm with you, for 9-10 hours a day, and then I go out with you in the evening. So what about my life and me and my family and, the things that I want to do? So, yeah, I think that would be the most valid point that I would think about, is that people want to detach from work. Once the work day is finished, they want to detach from it. They don't want to be reminded of it on the weekends and in the evenings.
That's exactly, yeah.
So what's your opinion, Ahmed? Are you with the first view or the second view?
I'm with the first view. Because I
Zahra,
spend a lot of time in my life.
You're with the first view. Yeah, we're together. We're with the first view. Zahra, which one are you with? Don't sit on the fence here. Lamia, if you're still with us, which view? Everybody type your view. Which view are you with here? The first one or the second one? I can't do a little poll. I don't know how to do polls. I think you can, but I don't know how. It would be good if I could do a little poll here. Yeah, Lamia, yes, you're here, or yeah, which view? One or two? Just type one or two in the comment section. Let's just see who is with which. Oh, Lamia, you're with the first one to a certain extent. The first one to a certain extent. No. Then you're going to go back and do the same as what we were saying to Zahra. You can't put an extent on it. Just stick to one. Choose one. Everybody else, one or two? Which view, one or two? Can you say that? Well, okay, yeah, she's got it now. Okay, Lamia's got it now. All right.
Muhammad, are you there?
Are you with us, Mohammed?
Yeah. Muhammad Naveen. Okay, so Muhammad, share your opinion with us.
Yeah. Why, Mohammed? Why do you think it's a good idea to socialize?
Yeah.
Oh, and Ashraf as well.
Yeah.
Mohammed is with the second view. I'm with the second view because your family should get its caring from you by communicating to your family members, because if they're... Yeah, you're right, Mohammed. Yeah, I see what you mean. You're saying that your family deserves your time. Yeah. So if you spend time with your work colleagues, what time do you have for your family? And if you're married, it's your duty and responsibility to spend time with your husband or your wife and your children. So yeah, that's a valid point.
Muhammad is a family man.
Muhammad's a family man. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that, of course. Yeah.
That's good.
Too good, yeah.
Ashraf, it's important for work achievement. Yeah, how does that build success in the business though, Ashraf? One is a good idea because it increases the relation with colleagues, leading to good environment for work. Yeah, how? Mohammed, Nabil, how? How does it increase those relations, and how is that going to build a better work environment? Okay, Zahra, I'm getting confused now. You've said, in fact, as Mohammed said, so I'm guessing that you are agreeing, Zahra, that you're agreeing with the second view, and like Mohammed said, that it's important to keep it separate because you need to spend time with your family. But then you said it is common in Egypt to consider colleagues as a family member.
I think Zahra means that in Egypt, colleagues interferes. Your colleague interferes in your personal life, so he consider himself as a family member. I think
Ah,
that. I think that. Right, Zahra?
aha.
So
Yeah.
Zahra means that we should put limits for our colleagues because they basically consider themselves as family members and they interfere in our personal life.
Right. You see, this is why I need you, Ahmed, because I don't understand the way of thinking sometimes. I don't understand the social aspects in some situations. So see, I didn't get that. Thanks for
I'm,
clarifying that.
yeah, Zara is saying
Yeah,
yeah.
see?
Yeah, yeah. I got her point, yeah.
You can interpret. I
And
can't.
actually, I experienced this before here in Egypt,
Uh-huh.
and I had to put limits. No one calls me after finishing my work and after leaving the company. Don't call me at all. And I bought my private phone number because of this because
Yeah,
they were disturbing me at late times, like
yeah,
as I said, 11
yeah.
p.m. something like that.
They keep hounding you.
Yeah, they were hunting me.
All right. Okay. Well, that's great. Socialize, Mohammed. Socialize with work colleagues. Open,
The
closed doors.
clothes. I think Muhammad means that making relationships with your colleagues will help you to promote or give you more chances in your life. I think that's what Muhammad means.
Yes, yes, yes. That is a valid point. I mean, just going back to when I was talking about my experience, we used to socialize at all different levels. So the sort of more junior staff, and then the mid-level staff, and then even the partners of the firm, we would socialize together. So by doing that, you are visible.
Yeah,
You're visible to those senior people who then might get to know you and might recommend you to be promoted because they can see your work and your social side, which may suit the position that you're going for or something like that. So, yeah, I think you're right, Mohammed. It can open doors.
and let me
Absolutely.
let me add also another comment. Muhammad is right in this point also. In foreign countries like Canada, relationships are very important to find a job, especially for newcomers.
Mm. Yeah.
Without relationships, you will spend your life working in a casual job.
Hmm.
So people, newcomers or new migrants in Canada, they start their life by working in a casual job. Then they make relationships, and after that, by using or through these relationships, they can find a job in their field. And
Mm.
also, relationships are very important in finding a house or a home because you are required to give references when you need to rent a room in an apartment or a house or buy a house. You have to give references for the owner.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. And that's a good example of where you have to control the idea because you're talking about specific people immigrating to Canada.
Yeah, yeah, and I
That
know.
doesn't apply to
Yeah. No, no, no. I was
other.
not speaking here about the question. I was speaking about the idea of Muhammad, which is socializing with colleagues open the closed doors
Mhm.
in general. Yeah,
Mm.
I know that this is off topic. What I have said. I'm just
Mm.
hearing
Just
the
as
idea.
I
Yeah.
see, I just explaining, giving more explanation about that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it happens. It honestly does happen. My mother used to say that the best place to do business was socializing.
Yeah. And I know
Because
Zahra.
people are relaxed. They're different when you are sitting in a cafe having a coffee rather than sitting in a boardroom. You have a different feel, different vibe. So yeah, socializing, it does open doors. You get to meet people that, or opportunities will come later,
Yeah.
just because you socialize. Yeah, yeah.
Lamia is asking. Okay.
Uh,
So this type of
yeah.
question, you are not allowed to. Yeah, okay, let's read. So on this type of question, you are not allowed to agree with one side to a certain extent. What do you think, Vanessa?
No, this is what I was saying earlier. It's very difficult to do that. This would be a situation, if you wanted to agree to a certain extent, you would have to write why some people thought. So your one body paragraph would be the first view and just saying why some people thought it was a good idea without showing your opinion. The second body paragraph would have to be why people think it's important to separate without showing your opinion. And then a third body paragraph showing to what extent you agree with which one of them. I don't think it's a good idea. It makes it
So
difficult.
she's asking that that could be valid. And to what extent do you agree?
Yes, yes. If you're writing, if you get a question that is to what extent do you agree or just do you agree or disagree question, then yes, you can partially agree or disagree. If you're going to do that, so partial means to some extent, to a certain extent. So if you partially agree, you also have to partially disagree.
And this is why I agree with you that this is uh, more difficult. And you should totally agree with one point of view to make it easy and short and avoid doing mistakes or being ambiguous for the
Yeah,
examiner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's okay. You can do that partial agreement. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But
It's better.
you have to, yeah, you can't show preference for one over the other.
Yeah.
You have to say that I partially agree for these reasons and partially disagree for those reasons.
Yeah. So it's better to stick to one point of view. It will
Better.
be easier. Yeah.
It's much easier. Again, I will say for more skilled writers, and if a student is aiming for sort of 8s and 9s, yeah, go for it. Try the partial agreement. But for most students, they don't need those scores, so it's unnecessary. They don't need to complicate their writing in that way. Gotcha. But it also has disadvantages, such as because visible for colleagues, it breaks barriers. Yeah, you just become a little bit exposed to your colleagues, don't you, Mohammed? Yeah, there's the personal life
Yeah.
is less there if,
There
yeah,
are no limits,
yeah, there can be no limits.
boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're not going to share absolutely everything. I mean, certainly with me, it didn't have a negative effect on my life at all by socializing with my colleagues. You have to know the limits of how much you socialize. I certainly didn't spend every evening and every weekend with them. No, that would be far too much. But yeah, well, maybe once a week in the evening and then every now and again on the weekend. But yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we've come to the end of the session. I hope that was beneficial to try and get our thoughts about how we're generating our ideas. I think it's a great idea to brainstorm with each other because everybody has a different way of thinking about things. And when it comes to an IELTS essay, sometimes our ideas are great, but they might not actually connect to the question. So by sharing with each other, we're able to guide and say, well, that would match, that wouldn't match, it's going off topic, or you're making it difficult for yourself. So this is why Ahmed and I would like to continue giving these sessions, and we will do different questions. You know, I think next time we'll probably move on to the agree, disagree types of questions. And if you've got any questions that you would like us to discuss, by all means, you know, you can send me a message on the page. That's absolutely fine. Get in touch. Just make sure that they are authentic questions. Some of these questions I've seen don't make any sense because somebody has written them that doesn't know how to write an actual IELTS question. Sorry, I'm just reading Mohammed's. Just this last, we should differentiate between our colleagues, which are opposed to us due to work relationships, and our friends, which we choose independently because they have similar attitudes like us. We should not share our private issues with our work colleagues. Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, you would have to say why, though. You just have to explain that a little bit more, Mohammed, and say why. But yeah, that is a valid point for that. Thanks, Mohammed. Nice session. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ashraf. Is there a schedule for this live series? Ahmed, is there a schedule?
I will leave the answer for you.
I would hope that we're going to do it weekly at this point. If we get a lot more interest, then we may end up doing it, or I certainly may end up doing it. If you can't join me, Ahmed, I might end up doing it more than once a week, but it really does depend on how interested people are. But certainly I'm going to try and keep to once a week on a Sunday. Before Ramadan, yes, Zafra, yes, before Ramadan. So why don't we all agree now that we will see each other in the IELTS Hub? This is our space now. This is our IELTS Hub space. So we'll see each other next Sunday, same time, same place, same channel.
Yeah.
So I hope you can join us, and if anything happens and we can't do this time or anything, I will certainly let everybody know. But yes, that is my plan now.
Yeah, yes, it's not bad. We'll be on a weekly basis.
Great. Yeah, Zoom, I'm doing it on StreamYard because I'm streaming. I'm streaming to Facebook and to YouTube, and I can do a lot more with StreamYard than I can with Zoom. But maybe we could mix it up and have a Zoom session one time. I have tried to stream from Zoom, and it doesn't really work as well as StreamYard does. So that's why I prefer to use StreamYard. But possibly we could try a Zoom at one point, but we shall see how we go with that. All right, everybody. Well, I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you, Ahmed, for joining me and for sharing your ideas.
It was a pleasure for me to be here today.
And thanks, everybody, for joining. See you next Sunday.
Inshallah.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye.